Okay, we're gonna rock and roll?
Let's do it.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome to another episode of T&T Weekly. It's going to be a great show today, but first of all, I really want to thank the Gibson Center for giving me a place to tape my podcast. I mean, they are the hub of arts and culture, and they had a kick-butt Halloween event that I heard sold out completely. They had it, stationed often at time slots. It was very, very popular, COVID friendly, safe for your family. So they have some wonderful events coming up right now. They have a seasonal market. Let me look at that here. Yes, seasonal market 2020, November 6th to December 19th. Okay, a lot of great vendors coming in during then. Check out their website, give them a call. And December 12th, who's in town? Santa. Santa's in town, man. Yeah, like he's not isolated, all right? He's going to be wearing a mask, I'm certain of it. But book this up, save the date, December 12th. Santa's coming to town right here at the Gibson Center. And the Gibson Center rocked with the Simcoe Choice Readers. Like, they won everything. They won the best indoor events, the best kids camp, the best summer camp, the best wedding event place, the best arts and school instruction. Just an awesome location. So support the Gibson Center. Remember, a community without the arts and culture is just,
Yeah.
There's nothing there, right?
I would agree.
All right. And also, shout out T&T Tornadoes. Thank you for putting together another ice hockey season so I can get my son out of the house and away from Xbox. But I know it's difficult times, the structure's difficult, but these organizations are at least trying to bring some activity and normal lifestyle into the sports scene. So thank you, T&T Tornadoes. With me today is the Executive Director of the Community Living Association for South Simcoe. Short form, it's CLASS, as you all know it. And that's what I got here right now. Mr. Andrew Walker. How you doing, Andrew?
Good, Tony. How are you doing?
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show. Listen, as I start out with all the podcasts, just an intro on who is Andrew Walker and how'd you get to Alliston, or I don't know if you live in Alliston but this podcast is about the community.
Sure.
What brought you here?
Just a love of the organization and the love of the community. CLASS has been an organization near and dear to my heart for 15 years maybe. I've known about the organization in past roles that I've had. I've worked with the government, with other organizations that support people with developmental disabilities, and I've always known CLASS as a progressive, forward-thinking organization, and here I am, lucky enough to be the next executive director. Big shoes to fill with Vito Fasciolo retiring just in the summertime.
I heard a lot about that gentleman. 20 years?
20 years, yes.
He was leading it here, right?
Vito was a legend for sure, still is a legend.
Probably best to keep his shoes in the
Yeah,
office, just
sure.
as a memento as you're walking into the office. But no, I heard a lot of great things about him. But I heard a lot of great things about you, Andrew.
No, I appreciate that. Just a little story about Vito. The first thing he trained me on before he left is Vito was very much around communication and informal discussion. So in his office he has an espresso machine. So that's the first thing that he trained me on, making sure I knew how to do that correctly.
All right. No bottle of cognac in the cupboard, nothing like that.
No,
absolutely.
An espresso machine.
An espresso machine. Awesome. So, in understanding CLASS and its services, I know a bit about your services, and but I haven't really been, too connected to it. My ignorance, but as this podcast has done for me, it's opened my eyes on wonderful services in this community. What is the purpose of CLASS in our community or any other community, as you see it, Andrew?
CLASS's purpose its mission is to ensure that people with intellectual disabilities are leading their most inclusive lives they can within the community that they live. CLASS has been around almost 60 years. In a couple of years, we'll be celebrating our anniversary around that. And all along, it was originally developed by families who felt that, they didn't want their son or daughter to live in an institution. They wanted their son and daughter to be part of the community. So really strongly family-driven in the origins of this organization, much like a lot of other organizations like this across the province. And over the years, it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, offering a variety of services and supports for people, accommodations like in homes, people that are supported independently to live in the community. We have programs like that. Day programs are a big part of our model as well, and those are morphing and changing as well with COVID. We've had to be nimble and pivot because everybody's at home, so we've been offering a lot of virtual programming for people that we've had a real strong uptake with that, with the people that use those day programs. But over almost 60 years, it's we're now an organization that's subsidized by the government, almost $13 million. So we're quite a big organization.
Is that the budget for the South Simcoe location here?
Yeah, and we operate primarily in the South Simcoe area, so Alliston and in Bradford.
Okay.
So that's sort of our jurisdiction is the South Simcoe area. There's immense need in our community for services and supports for adults with developmental disability or intellectual disability. Those are kind of interchangeable words. I can see our organization expanding in the future. As we move along, there are immense needs in our community, and CLASS is, I believe, in a really good position to meet these needs.
So tell me a bit about I heard day programs as well as residences. Does CLASS also have other? I know your Alliston location is on Dufferin. Is it on Dufferin? No, it's the
we have that, and then we have a head office on Church Street.
On Church, okay. And when you say residences, are there residences specific for intellectual disability people that you manage and conduct?
Yeah, so we have a number of homes in the Alliston area, for example, that are homes to people with intellectual disability, and no different than your home or my home. It's But we try to maintain the idea of that. This is so and so's home.
Yes.
And maintain that. I would like to see the organization even further that. And start to develop more options and more choices. The people that are coming into service now, they have they're different than how families may have been 20, 30, 40 years ago. There's a little bit more of a demand of I want my life to look this way, and maybe your services aren't meeting what that needs to be right now, but maybe if we change this thing or this thing, then this will meet my needs and my purposes. And I think our organization is primed and ready to start to look at services and supports that way. I know our funder, the Ministry of Children and Community and Social Services, is pushing agencies to think their business models a little differently, right? And I think that's great. I think it just offers more choice to people and doesn't necessarily pigeonhole people into a quote unquote group home. Offer some variance in how people live their lives, which I'm sure you live your life differently than I live my life, and people with an intellectual disability are no different, right? And we need to listen to that and to create services and supports that meet that.
When it comes to the people you serve with intellectual disabilities, is there a classification for always needing care all the time, and then some that are okay? Are okay. If it's fair to ask that.
Well, we offer a variety of supports, and we try to tailor our support structures to people's needs. So we have some people that require support pretty well all the time, and then we have other sort of support systems in place that people, they don't require somebody to be around 24/7. Maybe they need some reminders around. Maybe taking medication or some help with banking or transporting around town and stuff like that. So we offer, I would say, a wide variety of services that way. And I could see our organization moving forward, even expanding upon that. The point I made earlier around people's needs changing and people's expectations changing.
And the
So-
times have changed. I like
Absolutely,
I like
yeah.
the way you said that.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
have. They
and
have
that you're evolving, right?
Yeah. People with intellectual disabilities aren't, they're part of our community, just like anybody.
It's
you know?
wonderful. No, I see it happening for sure. And in looking into class and your socials and everything like that, it just blew me away on an autistic band.
Yeah.
You know,
I
came
know.
together,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, I'm going, okay,
Yeah.
like, we wouldn't be talking this way 10, 15 years ago,
no,
right? It's
no.
like, put it away.
Yeah, hide it over there.
Hide it
yeah,
over
yeah,
there,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
not talk about it.
Yeah.
But I just love the way we've evolved as a society, right,
Yeah,
to accept that. So, in the coverage of some of your services, Andrew, would someone that would need 24/7 care, into putting it an example, would they be at your location or 24/7 care in parallel with some time at your location for in-house day programs and then continued care over at their home personally or residence? How would that work?
Yeah, so we try to our funder, the government, ensures that everybody has an individual support plan, and part of that plan could be what care looks like residential, like in a home, and
Yes.
then what care looks like if during the day, what people want to do during the day. So we try to tailor our plans for everybody's needs and wants. We sit, sit around a table and talk to everybody, family members, the people supported, obviously, some of the staff. What does Andrew need, to have a fulfilling life, and this is what he needs when he's at home. This is what he needs when he's out and about during the day. So and we're mandated to create these plans, but I think that's a really good thing. It hasn't always been that in our sector.
It's almost like a triage.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
come
Yeah,
in for
absolutely.
like just
yeah.
what's the what's the case here? What's the analysis? What are your needs? Well, it's amazing, and you can pivot and allocate, share ideas, and try to change a lifestyle for a family.
And people's goals change all the time, so we can be nimble to. Andrew wants to.
That's incredible.
Save up and go on a big trip, or Andrew wants to learn how to golf or something.
Yes,
like that,
yes. And in your day, this includes in your day program meals and everything.
When somebody's living in a home in our community, in terms of the care orientation there, food's part of that, and the people that are supported in our homes, for example, will contribute some funds through ODSP supports, things like that, some other government funding to offset some of those costs for sure. I don't want to bore the audience with the minutia of all the costs and the budgeting and things like that, but people with intellectual disabilities do contribute to some of the household expenses, and we obviously, majority of the funding that we get is from the government to maintain things like resources like staff. Our great staff that do such a wonderful job for the people that we support. The property repairs and maintenance, those kind of things.
Now that you're on that subject, so speaking on funding and staff and volunteers, etc., and we'll dissect it a bit more, but is your organization entirely funded by the government? How does this work?
I would say I would say over about 95% is funded directly by the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services.
Yes.
And then we rely on fundraised dollars, to offset other expenses that maybe the government's not paying. One of the big issues in our area is transportation. We don't have as vibrant a public transportation program or system as maybe parts of York Region, for example, would have. So we rely on our own vehicles and things like that. And a lot of times our funder won't fund things like that. So our golf tournament, for example, will fund vehicles for people so they can get out and about and engage and interact in their community. And also the fundraised money too helps us purchase homes for people, so we can build upon that as well.
So on the vehicle side of things, with your private funding through the community, etc., does class have their own vehicles, like for shuttling? And
we do. Yeah, we have quite extensive.
Is there a correlation sometimes with, I know Chats is quite active in driving, and is there a parallel that in working together at times or not?
We haven't explored that, but that's a great idea, Tony. I think as the new leader with the organization, I'm very much interested in what types of partnerships can we explore within the
You
organization.
need them. You need them.
Absolutely,
You need them.
and what can we offer to help smaller nonprofit organizations?
Yeah.
And what can we find to work together?
Is that me or you?
That might be me.
Oh, the first time we've had a phone go off during an interview. Here we go. I love it. I love it.
Off.
Yeah, no worries.
Life of an executive director.
There you go. There you go. Now I'm lost. Where were we there? On the driving, the parallels of working with
and
other
looking
organizations.
looking at different partnerships, I think is important. I think there's a couple opportunities that we're facing as an organization now around maybe partnering with some mental health supports as well.
Oh, totally. And the hospital, and physicians, and medical centers, and everything. Absolutely. At all, there's a correlation.
And to me, it's all about how
out of the cold.
It's another great
Man,
example.
just crazy organizations.
And how can we as class, as our organization, generate impact, social impact in our communities?
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I personally am very interested in expanding within our organization.
So going back to that golf tournament, back in my first several years here in Alliston, my first golf outing was a class golf tournament. Just rocked. What a great onset. I can imagine by the quality of that golf tournament that it must have been very painful this year to not have that in your metrics of dollars for the year.
Yeah, we took a hit on that. Absolutely. I mean, some of the our larger donors honored their donations this year, which was great.
Yeah.
But for sure, we took a hit. We're looking to change things up next year. So knock on wood, we're going to have a golf tournament next year.
God bless. Yeah, absolutely. Or playing an Xbox.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to do it, but I feel the same way as you. I think it's going to come. We just have to be patient and stay together and support each other right during that. Off of that, on your staff and your volunteers, I know you have wonderful volunteers and you have wonderful staff, and I'm going to surprise you here with something. Early on, when my podcast started getting listeners, again, my interest in class came from this person, right? And she messaged me, and I just want to read you what she had said. Good evening. I thoroughly enjoy your podcast and creating a venue for local voices. You might not be aware, but Community Living South Simcoe has a new executive director, Andrew Walker. The previous director, Vito Facciolo, is in the midst of retiring after many years of wonderfully giving to the people we work with in our community. He is a champion voice for people with intellectual and physical disabilities. Andrew will be filling Vito's shoes, but respectfully, Andrew has made quite a track record himself already. During the pandemic, Andrew is in the executive director role full-time as Vito passes the baton. If you would like to set up a podcast interview with Andrew, you could contact our Community Communications Director, Barbara Barta. She has no clue I'm doing this, but I believe the role of an important company or organization should be celebrated in our community, and our board members have a plethora of knowledge too. The staff are exceptional and working hard during this pandemic. Who am I? I am a support worker at class and have watched an organization be very successful for people we support and each other as staff during a pandemic. Man, you got a volunteer shouting out like that. Shout out to Joyce Webster. Joyce Webster, awesome. Joyce Webster. All right, awesome. So she reached out to me some time ago. I've always had class on the radar, but that to me is an example of the people that work with you and support your organization. Any words?
I mean, the staff are remarkable, continue to be remarkable. We're going through unprecedented time. Who would have saw this coming?
Yeah.
The way that the teams have come together, are working together to ensure the safety, security of the people we support. It's quite miraculous. It's really wonderful to see how everybody has come together and are just persevering. There's grit and determination and drive. And it's been difficult and it's been hard, but just sitting back and just seeing how people have come together. We have these weekly pandemic meetings internally within our organization, and the ideas that get generated there, and everybody has a voice there, and everybody has an ability to articulate their point of view on that, and how we build our response to the pandemic as we move forward. And somebody made a point the other day that we've probably generated over 200 documents since the emergency orders were put in place in March. Because the province has been changing too, and our funder has been changing around the response. So we have to respond to that as well, right? And ensure that everybody's safety and security. But we wouldn't be able to do this without the fantastic people that are working day in, day out, hour in, hour out throughout all of our programs. They've done miraculous.
It's an example of our community, isn't it, Andrew?
Like just the resiliency, the drive, the grit, the tenacity.
To pull themselves away from the issues that they're going through.
Absolutely.
We're all in our own little bubbles at home, and anxieties and issues and what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Then to have the grit and the tenacity to go to their day responsibility and contribute.
And contribute in an immense
way. Like it's crazy what's happening. So I've noticed it quite a bit in our community. It's just it's really awesome. This community is amazing. New Tech rocks. I don't want to put it out there too much because I don't want it to get too populated. But New Tech really does rock.
It does.
Absolutely.
It's just the ability for people to come together and respond is it's encouraging. And when we get post-pandemic, I think we need to look back at these times as a learning time, and to remember these. It's been awful, but there's been some really bright, wonderful moments too, where people coming together,
taking the positive and seeing from out there. But Andrew, it has caused some pain and to families out there, especially that need your services in capacities. And when COVID came and everything did shut down back in March, me for one, today I understand it, but back then I wouldn't have, with your organization and the difficulty. I was concerned about my world, right? But I can't imagine the plight of families that depend on your services and that village of care, right? When everything got shut down and right there isolated at home. So it's ironic. My second podcast, I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, Andrew. It's simply a voice.
He's lying. He knows what he's doing. This is good.
Those early podcasts that I had, it was me on my own, and I picked up a news clip from a friend of mine back in Ottawa, in my stomping grounds, and it was her plight as a single mom, a very high up director in the government, and she has a son with intellectual disabilities and a daughter with not. And in knowing Robin Plum is her name, and knowing her, very strong woman, all the way proud of her career, proud of her family. And when everything got shut down, she thought she could handle everything, right? And I'm just going to read you the article, and then maybe if you could follow up with some comments.
Sure.
But what I'm understanding now, after getting to know what this organization does, is what happened to so many during the shutdown. And still might be evident a little bit today as we get into the second wave and things are happening, the anxiety that must be going on for some families, and fully understanding that they can't do certain things, right? So, Robin Plum, so starts it out, I tried to balance working from home and caring for my kids. I finally called it quit. Something had to give, that something was work, writes Robin. I used to pride myself on being able to balance a successful career as a director in the public service and an active family life that includes a teenager who has a developmental disability and is nonverbal and has severe behavioral challenges. With support from family and friends, I created a village where my son is loved and celebrated, and where my 16-year-old daughter, a superstar student and competitive athlete, is able to just be a big sister, not a caregiver like some families are forced to do given the lack of support for special needs. This all came crashing down on March 23rd, when all schools and community supports and services were shuttered and Canadians were told to stay at home. My village vanished overnight. My son attends a special class at Ridgemont High School and has the support of a wonderful team, including occasional one-on-one support given his needs and behavioral challenges. I spent years advocating for his rights, and we finally found a school where he could be successful. With the closure of schools, my son has instantly lost critical social interaction and learning opportunities. All his community-based activities, such as therapeutic riding and hockey, ceased. Recreational facilities and respite services are closed, and friends and family are all isolating. I realize everyone is impacted by the pandemic measures, but for my son and other kids with special needs, predictability is critical, and the change in routine leads to vulnerability. My son does not understand closed until further notice and gets really agitated by always being at home. This usually manifests itself into aggression and property destruction. The upshot of this is that my son's world suddenly became very small, with him placing all his focus on me, and not only to be a mom, but also a teacher, caregiver, and a playmate. Meantime, I also had to continue to work and manage a team of professionals in this surreal world from home environment. For 4 weeks, I worked on my job while supporting my son in his online learning and daily living. I did my best to help my daughter and not stress out about grades and schoolwork. Through all of this, I completely forgot about myself. I didn't notice I was walking a tightrope with my balance increasingly teetering over the edge. Finally, I was forced to do and make a decision, one of the most difficult of my career, where I admitted that I couldn't do it all. Something had to give, and that something was work. I felt like I was admitting defeat, letting down my team, and losing a big part of my identity. I am fortunate to have an employer that talks the talk when it comes to mental health and valuing the well-being of myself and my family during these extraordinary times. So I am thinking more about that and the impact that COVID had on a lot of your base.
Absolutely, and that story is not a single story. That's a story that's occurring right across the province, and in our community as well. You know, so we were all scrambling in the early days of the pandemic. Funding was still coming to my organization, but I had my day program closed, you know, because we couldn't open it.
Yeah.
So I have some great staff at class. They were able really quickly, and there's a number of sister agencies like us throughout Simcoe County.
Yeah.
Class was one of the first ones to sort of go to an online environment to offer programming through Zoom and things like that.
Right away.
Right, pretty quickly out of the gate. Now it's a very burgeoning thing. It's awesome. I've actually gone into the couple of sessions, and they're wonderful. They're awesome. So that was one thing that our agency was able to try to respond to, because we knew that people were going to be at home, and that the whole piece there around mental health and routine and all those things were going to get thrown away.
Yeah.
And so how can we as an organization pivot our services and supports to meet some of those challenges? And that's one way that we responded. And we were, like I said, we were quick out of the gate in Simcoe County when it comes to other agencies around that. I can see post-pandemic too that some of the ways that we're offering our services in our day program, I could see it being sticking around.
Yeah.
Because there's been a positive response, and one of the things that we're beginning to explore now is what are some opportunities that we can do with partnering with other agencies like us across the county and expanding our menu when it comes to, you know, a Zoom class or something like that.
Yeah.
What are some things could we offer some more one-on-one, like learn how to play guitar or whatever, or some more group kind of things, you know? So we're beginning to talk about that, and that's been an encouraging thing where, you know, that collaboration piece, you know, the pandemic has forced us to think our business models differently and to work together. But I think there's a lot of families that are still struggling, trying to figure out the day-to-day, the hour-to-hour, and class is well aware of that, and every day we're trying to sort of innovate our service delivery to try to meet some of those challenges.
Yeah. With that virtual online world and area of care, in a post-pandemic era, I can see some maintaining of that, absolutely. But still, I think that human interaction
Absolutely.
I'm familiar with some of the doctors locally. That topic came up quite a bit in the early closures of what. Okay, we'll just go to video, virtual, everything, and that interaction is so important. It can't be an overall blanket system.
Sure.
But I do feel that human interaction, you can't replace that.
No, and that's been one of the struggles for me personally coming into the organization as the new leader in a virtual climate. The developmental service sector, which a class is part of, is a very hands-on, tactile kind of organizations, and I've been forced to meet staff and people supported through Zoom meetings and things like that. Like it's been a tough go that way to come in sort of in the middle of the pandemic and try to begin to lead
adapt into a world that you're so used to previously, right?
Sitting around and chatting, that doesn't exist right now. Can't wait till we get to a point where I can actually
more consistency.
And going in more face to face.
That's awesome. Listen, I'm quite impressed with your organization. What a leader, another leader in this community in New Tech. Just endless amounts of wonderful partnerships, wonderful services in our community. Andrew Walker, another great leader in our community. We're coming to the end of the show, Andrew. Really, it's quite incredible, your services. Have I missed anything? Is there anything that we would like to add to that? Please, it's your screen.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say contact Barbara Barda, and if you feel like you want to, please become a member of class. She'd be very happy for me to say that.
In a volunteer capacity? I saw on your website you're hiring as well.
And we are hiring as well.
100%.
So if you have an interest in developmental services and supports, please get in contact with our organization. And stay tuned. Hopefully, all things go fine. The golf tournament, I think we're going to be hosting it again at Nottawasaga, but in June of this June.
A little earlier.
Yeah, a little earlier. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's our plan.
And I hear you got, my dog knew I was coming to class. Yeah, he knew I was coming to interview the man, because I hear you guys got some amazing biscuits,
classy dog treats,
dog treats and everything that are rocking it. That's just really popular, and orders and everything. Tell us a bit about that. 'Cause what a great concept.
Yeah, so the people that we support in our day program, they have been creating these dog biscuits for a number of years now, and it's kind of a little bit of a sensation around.
It is. I've heard. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up. My father is in the pet food industry. So okay. I've just recently asked for a couple of samples because I want to sort of push the old man to see, can you get this in a few more stores?
Right.
What can you do with
and they're already packaged and everything. What a great concept. What a great idea.
Yeah,
did that come out because of COVID?
No, that was happening before.
Oh, that was already in the plan, right? Well, coming up to Christmas and things like that, it's a great gig. That's going to be it. Andrew, you sure we're done? Anything I'm missing?
I think you hit it all, Tony.
Holy my! I think we hit a home run here, hey? What is that?
Sorry about the cell phone interruption.
I love it. Something new every day. I'm going to clip that out, and then it'll be what I'll flip out on socials, Andrew. The phone ringing. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, man? That's it. Listen, another great organization, class. They have a big funding package coming in from the government. That's fine, but it really is important. Their community funding. Support that golf tournament coming out next year. Get those dog biscuits, and look into their. It's quite amazing, And they're in our town, in our backyard,
right over there.
Right over there. Right over there. Awesome. We'll see you on the next show. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thanks, Tony.
Bam. We're done.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. That's it.
You're great.
Hey, wasn't that
great?
Great.
You're great. You're a natural.
That was awesome. Awesome, Andrew. That was